Hello and welcome to lesson 39 of the Learning Guitar series. This particular lesson is a bit of a milestone as we are recapping all the modes. So we're recapping all the first 38 lessons, and sometimes it's kind of funny because I was Googling modes a while back, and the first results are always the easy way to learn the modes in 10 minutes or something like this. And it made me think that, it took us 38 lessons, is almost 1 year and 10 months to go through all this. And I thought either I'm doing something wrong myself or, there is no such a thing as an easy way to learn modes, like to learn guitar in general. From a theoretical perspective, you will see actually it's easy to understand. Probably you got that by now. So maybe from that point of view, that's what they mean. It's an easy way to understand what the modes are about. Then to apply it to the guitar and practice it and stuff, it takes some time. And I think, for those of you that are following this lesson since the beginning, congratulations. I mean, it took a while to cover this ground, but it's an important one, So in this lesson, we're going to look at a few things that you can do in order to kind of recap it, not just from a theoretical point of view, literally even from a practical point of view. As usual, I have some PDFs created. What I'm going to do in order to stay true to the spirit of this project, the way it started, I'm going to zoom out a little bit on the PDFs first, so that I'm going to scroll through. So for those of you that cannot afford maybe to support this project on Patreon, you can simply take some screenshots if you want to. So let me see. Okay, this should be enough. So it's this particular PDF is 7 pages. So that's page 2, page 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now, let's see what this is about. Well, the idea is to have some exercises that allow us to go through the 7 modes all across the guitar. And it's important that we start to get a hear about the differences in between one another. I'll actually play you these first few bars. As you can see here, we have all 7 modes across the entire neck of the guitar using the H system in this case. You can do this or 3 notes per string, it will be exactly the same. These studies are written in G, so this is G Ionian, G Dorian, G Phrygian, G Lydian, G Mixolydian, G Aeolian, G Locrian. And then it starts again, and I'll tell you what it means. So make sure you transpose it in all other keys, and all the intervallic, triadic, and grouping exercises from lesson 1 to 15 can be applied here. So what does it mean? So what I showed you the first 7 rows is basically all the modes G, so G Ionian, G Dorian, etc., played in this area of the neck. Then it's played all in this area of the neck, this area of the neck, this area of the neck, this area of the neck. And then, of course, here, fret 3 and fret 15 is the same. So whatever you're doing here is going to apply here. In terms of sound, I'm going to use like a G drone so you can hear the differences in between all the various modes. So this is G Ionian. G Dorian. G Phrygian. G Lydian. G Mixolydian. G Aeolian. and back to Ionian. And I'm sure you can hear the differences, and in a way, modes make sense when you kind of practice it this way. What I mean is, we know that, say, if I play G Ionian, etc., and then I play you A Dorian, that's actually the same scale. And B Phrygian, C Lydian, right? For as long as I'm playing everything in one single key, so the key of G, well, then G Ionian will work no matter what the chords are. And we know that the chords in the key of G are G, A minor, B minor, C major, D7, E minor, F half diminished, and G. And if you don't remember the reason why that is, here, our usual table, we've been through this time and time again, but if you look at the key of G, here is the chords, chord number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, G, A minor, B minor, C, D7, E minor, F sharp, minor 7 flat 5, so half diminished. So in a way, a real way to get accustomed to the sound of the modes, in a way, is to practice it this way, where you're actually playing everything, say G Ionian, G Dorian, or you can do this in the key of C or key of E flat. Of course, these exercises needs to be transposed. As an exercise, you can literally put a drone. You can find many online. Let's do this again. I'm sticking to the key of G. You might want to have a metronome and just, And so these are basically the 7 modes in this area of the neck, G, okay? If I was to do C, you would have a different sequence. Same thing, the moment you move to the second area, and again, you can refer to the PDF, all of it is tabbed out. So you would have G Ionian, right? G Dorian, G Phrygian, G Lydian, that was Mixolydian, Aeolian, that was Locrian, back to Ionian. Same thing is going to happen here, here, and here. I'm not going to waste your time further by playing things up and down. So everything is, what is it, here in this PDF here. And so you'll have first, 5 frets, and then it starts again, starting at fret number 5. Then it starts again, all the modes starting at fret number 7, all the modes starting at fret number 12, all the modes starting, fret number 10 and fret number 12. When he says here at the beginning of the PDF, all the intervallic triadic grouping exercises for lesson 1 to 15 can be applied here. What that means is, so instead of playing scales, in a scalic manner, you can play them, say, for example, intervals of, seconds. Then Dorian. Phrygian. And so forth and so on. And then, Lydian. These are thirds, Mixolydian. So the way you sequence this, of course, you want to stick to Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, etc., etc. You don't have to play it necessarily as a scale. You can use intervals instead. You can use triads. You can use all the kind of different permutation of the same thing that I explained to you in the lessons from 1 to 15. If we continue with the PDF, the second part of it does the same, similar kind of thing, but this time we're recapping. What is it here? I skipped here. Now, here is the harmonization of G major scale Ionian using arpeggios, major, minor 7, dominant 7, and minor 7 flat 5, across the neck of the guitar. It is from the harmonization of major scale that we derive the modes. This should be clear by now. The same exercise can be performed using triads instead of extended triads. Now, again, what this means, we go back to this. Now, I wrote this in the key of G, but again, you're going to transpose it in all keys. Basically, we're playing G, A minor, B minor, C major, D7, E minor, F sharp, minor 7, flat 5, while staying in the same area of the neck. Okay, we know that the modes themselves, the scales, they derive from the harmonization of a major scale. We discussed this, I think, lesson 16. In this case, we're going, so G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D7, E minor, F sharp half diminished, back to G major 7. And this is basically chord number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the key of G. Transpose it in a lot of keys. It's not that hard once, the sequencing is kind of pretty much the same. So let's say, for example, G, A minor, B minor, C major, D7, E minor, F sharp, half diminished, back to G major. Okay, and you'll have the same thing, so G major 7, A minor, B minor, C major 7, D7, E minor, F sharp half diminished, back to G major 7. And then again, G major 7, A minor, B minor, C major, D7, E minor, E minor, F sharp half diminished, back to G major. Same thing is going to happen here, same thing is going to happen here. So again, you're recapping all the modes in terms of the harmonization. So G is basically Ionian if you want to do the modal arpeggios. A is Dorian. B minor is Phrygian. C is Lydian. D7 is Mixolydian. E minor is Aeolian. F sharp is minor 7 flat 5 or half diminished, and back to Ionian. But in fact, if I play you, actually, let's do something. I'm gonna loop the scale and play the chords, and you'll see that the scale is not gonna change because I'm doing everything in the key of G. So I'll show you. So you see, for as long as, if we have a song and the entire song resolves around one single key, basically one single scale is going to do. What's going to change is the arpeggios. So if, let's say that our song is chord number 2 and 3 in the key of G, so basically it's a song that just goes A minor, B minor. I'm going to loop this. Now, if I use the arpeggios, like it's gonna light. And if I mix it with the scale, so basically what you have there is a combination of using the arpeggio as guide tones and the scale, like for melodic sense, okay? Sorry. Let's move on further on the PDF. The last part is the same thing that we just did with the arpeggios, so basically playing an entire key, all 7 chords, using arpeggios. This time is using chords. Again, major, minor, minor, major, dominant 7, minor, off diminished back to major. In little parentheses here, I put the extension. I'm going to come back to this in a second. So, lesson number 1, I mentioned the fact that, scales, arpeggios, and chords are 3 sides of the same thing. In other words, for the last time, with regards to modes, major modes, if I see G major on a page and I know that the song is in the key of G, okay, G can be a chord. If I'm the guy comping, if I'm playing chords in the song, okay, that's G. If I'm the guy soloing, I can use the arpeggio, all 5 shapes, so I can move across the neck. So, or I can use the scale. And combination of arpeggios and scales during solos, right? But it's 3 sides of the same thing. So we looked at the modes from the point of view of scales. We looked at modes from the point of view of looking at all the chords. Chord number 1, chord number 2, staying in the same fret. That's the nature of the exercise. Okay? All this PDF is about you playing all the modes in each gauge, all the arpeggios in each gauge, and now all the chords. So for example, G major could be this, A minor, B minor, C major, D7, E minor, F sharp off diminished, back to G. Next gauge, G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D7, A minor, E minor, F sharp off diminished, back to G. Again, G major, A minor, B minor, G major, C major, D7. I could have done this, but I'll explain it to you in a second. Where will be D7, E minor, F sharp off diminished, G, G major, A minor, B minor, C major or C major, D7, A minor or A minor, F sharp off diminished, G. So G major, A minor, B B minor, C, D7, E minor, let's see, F half diminished, or this. And you're playing everything basically like, all the chords in that particular key. As I said, you want to transpose everything in all the other keys. So if this was, say, now we're doing the key of C. And if you don't know all the chords in the key of C, have a look at this PDF if you forgot. So say I want to do key of C, so it's C, D minor, E minor, F major, G7, A minor, B minor 7, flat 5. So C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G7, A minor, B half diminished, C. And that's the scale that goes with it. Basically C Ionian, right? And if we were doing, again, D Dorian is still the same. But if you were saying, okay, I did C Ionian, cool, I know it. Now I should practice C Dorian. So it's a minor chord now. Or C Phrygian. Or C, let's see, C Lydian, which is another major chord, right? Or C Mixolydian, which is C7, right? Oh, C Aeolian. Which is another minor chord. And then we have C Locrian, which is C half diminished, no? I hope I'm not confusing you, actually, hopefully not, let's look 1 second now at the theory of it. So the easy part, the part that, people say they can, you're going to do this on the guitar in a week. As a matter of fact, all the theory, I condensated it here, all in a single page for you to remember, okay? So when you look at the scales, these are the intervals of each individual mode. So for Ionian, the intervals starting from a root note, you choose whatever root note you want. The intervals are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, major 7. Dorian is 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7. Phrygian is 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, and so forth and so on. These are the 7 modes. When you're harmonizing the major scale, the chord sequence, chord number 1 is going to be major, minor, minor, major, dominant 7, minor, and half diminished. The mode you associate with it is chord number 1 is Ionian, chord number 2 Dorian, 3 of Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, and Locrian. The triads is what that's telling us that is major or minor, right? Here is major, this is a minor triad, and you can see it in the scale, by the way. So if you look at the Ionian, 1, 3, and 5. If you look at Dorian, is 1, flat 3, 5. Here, so hence the minor triad. Phrygian, 1, flat 3, 5. Hence the minor triad. Lydian, 1, 3, and 5. Hence the major triad. Mixolydian, 1, 3, 5. Major triad. Aeolian, 1, flat 3, 5. Is a minor triad. 1, flat 3, flat 5 is a diminished type of triad. The moment you extend the chords using the 7th, so 1, 3, 5, and other major 7 or flat 7, now you have major, minor, minor, major, dominant 7, because now it's 1, 3, 5, flat 7, and you have half diminished here. These are the extensions that you can add to your chords. Say, if I'm playing chord number 1, I can play major 7. I can also play major 9 or 6, 9, or, that tells me the extension I can have. And we studied this. I mean, this is not supposed to be new, but once you get accustomed to and you know, by the way, this theoretical page is something that we really want to learn and in a way memorize and know by heart. So Ionian, the extensions are 9, 11, and 13. Dorian, the extension can be 9, 11, and 13. I don't know, Phrygian is flat 9, 11, flat 13. And so forth and so on, because that tells us the chords and how can we extend them. So for example, the same progression I did before, G major, A minor, before I kind of stuck to minor 7 and major 7. I didn't add any color, but I can start adding colors. So maybe, for example, A major 7, A minor 11, maybe B minor 11, C major 6, 9, D9, sorry, D9, E minor 11, F sharp with a flat 3 on top, and back to G, maybe G9. You start sounding like this. By the way, I just realized when I played F sharp before, actually that was not F sharp, that was F sharp alpha diminished. I played E minor off finished. I apologize for that. So let's, for example, when I played C major, I could have done C major with a sharp 4, and I know I would be correct if I do that. And the reason is because I know that as C in this case is Lydian, and one of the extension in that case would be 9, sharp 11, and 13. So that's when this piece of theory becomes really important for you to understand, because the moment you want to extend the chords, you can look at this chart and say, okay, the root note, the chord number 1, I can extend it beside, you know, the triad with 9, 11, and 13. And by the way, what that means is the 9th given the root you're working on. So if it's C, the 9 is D, okay? The 4th or the 11th is F, and the 13 is A. So if I add an A note to my C chord, now I have C with another 13 on top. So when you look at chord number 2, then it says 9, 11, and 13 again. It doesn't mean that it's the same note as this. So now you're looking at 9, 11, and 13 from the perspective of, if we are in the key of C, now we're looking at D minor as chord number 2, the 9th of D, so the 9 and the 2nd are the same note, the 9 of D is E. So if I add an E note, for example this one, now I have D minor 9, okay? If I add an 11, which in the case of D is G, this is my G. Or if I add a 13, which in the case of D is B, so the 13 of D, or the 6th, is B, so this. So I can have all these sounds, so this is... And that's the harmonization using also extensions. If you look, you can look at the concept of the extension from this table here, or you can look at the table below, which still describes basically the arpeggios instead of the chords. One, again, chord number 1, chord number 2, chord number 3, this is all in common, so that you see the major, minor, minor, major, dominant 7. I've written it all the time so that you can see that we're talking about 3 sides of the same thing. Major, the arpeggio is 1, 3, 5, major 7, 9, 11, and 13. 1, flat 3, 5, flat 9, 9, 11, and 13. So you can also see the vertical structure. This is the horizontal structure. This is the vertical structure. I hope it kind of makes sense. It's a massive recap if you think of it. It's only like 7 pages of PDFs and a couple of charts. But the moment you start playing it, you know, it's going to take a little bit to find all the chords, chord shapes that you like. Hopefully, you know, you followed all the 38 lesson I did on the topic before this one, obviously, because if you're starting from this one, well, you're gonna, you know, it might feel like, oh, that's a lot of stuff in one lesson. And, you know, I'm not going to spend again more time explaining you, okay, that's G major 7 or that's G major 9, etc. I did that in previous lessons. What I want to get across is, as a recap, is your ability to play all the modes. Choose whatever note you want to start from. So say tomorrow you want to start from E flat and you play all the modes E flat Ionian, E flat Dorian, E flat Phrygian, E flat Lydian, E flat Mixolydian, Aeolian, Locrian, and back to Ionian, all in a single area of the neck, and of course then all five cages, which means the entire neck of the guitar. Then you maybe take the same key, so E flat, and you say, okay, now I'm going to study the arpeggios within this key. And in the key of E flat, if E flat is chord number 1, F minor is going to be chord number 2, G minor is going to be chord number 3, A flat major is going to be chord number 4, B flat 7 is going to be chord number 5, C minor is going to be chord number 6, D off diminished is going to be chord number 7. And you say, okay, E flat, let me do E flat major, then F minor, G minor. You keep going. Stay in the same area of the neck. That's key. And then you move, okay? Same thing with the chords. So you decide you're studying E flat, same progression. E flat, F minor, G minor, what's that, G minor, A flat major, B flat 7, G minor, D off diminished, and back. And then you choose maybe another area. That's F minor, G minor, A flat, B flat, then we have C minor, D off diminished, and back to E flat, maybe play it like this. Okay? Basically, this is it for this lesson. As I said, it's just a recap, and the PDF can be a starting point for many exercises you can create your own once you understand what is it that we're discussing. As I said, this is a bit of a milestone, so congratulations. It took us 1 year and 10 months almost to cover all this ground, but it's totally worth it, I'm sure. If you've been following from the beginning, you're seeing the benefits of these studies. It takes some time, it's not, as you notice, these lessons are not clickbait, I guess would be the word, the 5 secret chords that nobody told you kind of crap. So, patience is key. Determination, curiosity, will to learn in a way, but at the end of the day, one little step at a time. If it takes 5 years, it takes 5 years. Whatever you learn, just incorporate it straight away in your playing. Whatever style of music you play, just you learned one single arpeggio, try and sneak it in, see what happens. Or you learn the scale. Don't think about the goal. Just otherwise you're gonna get stressed all the time if you think, I have to know this by next week or something. Enjoy the process of learning something new. Take on board whatever you can take, and and take your time. I don't know if I think I wished you already Happy New Year. Anyway, I'll do it again. I'm gonna leave the usual link to Patreon in the video description. If you feel like supporting this project, it would be very much appreciated. And if you can't, of course, it's okay. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. As you can see, I'm pretty bad at this marketing stuff. I forget to say it sometimes, So anyway, subscribe to the channel, just to show some appreciation. Feel free to leave a comment, or especially if you have questions, feel free to ask. If I can answer, I will. And as I said, if you can support the Patreon channel, it's very much appreciated. That's where you also find all the PDFs and backing tracks. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, and see you next time. Bye.